so I've just got in. My hay fever's been a bit bad because obviously there's lots of pollen around, so I've taken some antihistamines and used my inhaler, but it's always possible I might be a bit sniffly on the stream, so apologies for that. So let's see how many people we get on. Alright. So yeah, hopefully you caught the introduction, but if not, I'll be streaming for about an hour. Well, it's because it's a Friday, so I can't stream in the evening Fridays, because I'm working tomorrow and I'm like doing stuff in the evening. So what I've got here is, I don't know if you can see it on the bed, is a couple of shelves. So later on this evening I'm going to try and start putting those shelves up, and I'm going to probably do it around the poster area, and that means that I can put some like gas masks or filters on display in that sort of area using shelves. Right, what time is it in Australia then, out of interest, Alpha? Is it what, sort of close to midnight at the moment? If you want to talk about knives, you can talk about knives, Slingshot Warrior. Any particular ones? Alright, morning to you. It's afternoon to me, but morning, you're right. But yeah, there's a Soviet PDF up there, mechanised and weaponised. They're alright masks, but yeah, they're GOST 40mm, so you can't get NATO filters on them easily, but they're built to an alright standard, although there's quite a few different variants. Alright, Mike, seems like we've got quite a lot of people on. Alright. I've been to Slovakia, but I've never been to Slovenia, but good afternoon to you. Yeah, I don't have any Tomahawk, Slingshot Warrior. The closest thing to a tomahawk I have is that light Viking axe. Now, if anybody notices smoke in the webcam, you can see it drifting in from that side there. Don't worry, the room's not on fire. I've got some incense lit, because normally incense is quite good at clearing my hay fever up. Although I'm still inhaling particles, and out of interest, what I want to see now is if I turn this on, will the particle count be much higher than normal because of all the smoke in the air? Oh yeah, there we go, look. It's in the 90s at the moment, 105, which means very bad. Number's still going up. The particles mean it's very bad at the moment, but obviously that's because I've got incense lit. So, yeah, we're over 200. Normally that would be around 30, but I don't know how visible it is on the webcam, but there is smoke in the room. So I'll leave that running and see if I get some interesting results. Oh, it's beeping at me. Because we're over 300 on the particle count now. Yep, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it does help them get shared. So I'll leave that going, but that's quite interesting. The particles are that high from having an enclosed room with incense in it. That would be similar if there was somebody smoking a cigarette in the room as well. Are we going to go over 400? Oh, over 400 on the particles now. Still rising. 500. This is an air quality meter, so what it shows you is the other bit has to warm up first. But that number in the 500s is the amount of particles in the air. So ideally you want that to be under 30, but it shows you sort of air pollution. Because I've lit some incense, that's why the number's so high, but it also shows you formaldehyde and volatile organic compounds. So I'll see what those readings show up as once the, I'll put that down there, once it's warmed up. So yeah, apologies, I don't have to blow my nose a little bit during the stream, because as I said, my hay fever's not been great today, even though I've taken a load of antihistamines, but that's what happens when you go out walking the dogs. At least we've got sunny weather though, rather than it just being rainy non-stop. Those are real but deactivated, so they were once real firing guns, and since they've had the firing pins ground off and like welds done to them, but they fully comply with UK law. So, yeah, these are the set of 3 small shelves I bought. This one. So those 3, and there's the metal brackets for them. So what I'm going to do is later on today, I'm going to put those up. I'll probably maybe put a couple around here. Sort of thing. We'll see how I go when I put them up, but I don't want where I'll hit my head against them when I'm in bed, but it'd be quite nice to have those shelves so I can just put some masks or other bits of equipment in the room here, a bit like I've put that shelf up there. Well, it's very difficult if you try and get those sort of things completely straight to get them completely straight, but I know they're not completely straight, but I'll probably be putting shelves up which will be straight in their place and then move the postcards to somewhere else. Yeah, it's sharp. So yeah, I've got a bit of a lazy day planned. As I said, work tomorrow, so not much to do. Alright, good, the countdown's almost done, so let's see what readings we get on here. Because it should pick up a bit of formaldehyde and volatile organic compounds in the air, considering the particles are so high. So let's see if those numbers change. So good news, there's not much formaldehyde in the air, but obviously a fair bit of volatile organic compounds, but again that's because I've lit incense, so I'll turn that off now. But yeah, we know the meter works because obviously it's picking up the incense in the air. Yeah, I like the Yugoslavian rifles, they're pretty cool. Obviously you've got the M70, haven't you, which is the AK. You've got the M72 like I've got, which is the RPK. And then you've also got like the weird ones like that 7.62 NATO rifle they built. That looks like an AK externally, but it's in 7.62 NATO. So yeah, there's no real plan for this stream, it's just one of those sort of chat streams. But as I said, I'm not doing all that much today. So just waiting for comments, no? I'll probably do a stream Sunday evening if I get time. Something about hippies at Stonehenge welcoming solstice. Yeah, otherwise nothing really interesting in the news. That's interesting, Slingshot. So what kind of blade is it? Like in terms of like shape and size and everything. Alright, Ajax. Yeah, but it depends whereabouts in the UK, Mr. J, because it's like a lot of countries. In a lot of the cities, the crime's quite high, but in rural areas, it's quite low. That's interesting, Slingshot Warrior. I think it's called the PMKS or something, and there's another one, I always forget the name of, but it's like the camouflaged, lightweight charcoal mask. Yeah, cool. Was it the 4A1 or the M15 you got, Josh? But either of those are good masks. So yeah, I'm thinking with the shelves, if when I put them up I can fit them on there, I'll probably put a Geiger counter on one of the shelves, and then maybe some gas masks on the other shelves. The ones that I'm going to put along there somewhere. Right, Richard? But yeah, where I've put that shelf up now, that's with raw plugs and the proper screws. Because when I first had that shelf up there and it came down, it came with this really strong adhesive stuff, but then one of the bits of adhesive failed and the stuff on the shelf fell down, hit me on the head when I was in bed. So obviously I ripped the shelf down from that wall, and now I've put it up properly lower down and put gas masks on it. Cool. What's the name of the video, Slingshot Warrior? Because it won't let you link it in the chat, but if you say the actual name of the video, then we can look it up. What I'm going to have to do is, once I finish this live stream, I'm going to have to read all the, and reply to all the comments I had overnight, because I've not had a chance to do that yet today, because I was quite busy this morning. Blue Moon Blade. Cool, let me Google it. Then I want to look on videos, won't I? Although most of this is like some anime stuff. Oh, Blue Moon Blade Slingshot Warrior. Found it. I won't watch it with sound on right now. I'll just click through the video. That's cool looking, isn't it? Yeah. I like the look of that. So it's like a, yeah, slightly crescent-shaped blade. Yeah, looks cool. We'll check that out properly a bit later on. Right, let me go back to the chat. The plate carrier was £30 without any of the bits in it, just the pouches, £30 odd. The Kevlar I put inside it was like 20 quid because it was ex-police stuff. The groin protector stuff was like 10 quid, I think, 10, 15 quid, but I can't remember. Right, there's an arming sword there, a sabre there, a katana there. There's a rapier in the back corner as well, but you can't really see it because the right armor's blocking the view of it. I used to play War Thunder, but I don't anymore. The Discord, you have to support the channel to get access to it, so you can either do a super chat or you can support me on Patreon. If you support me on Patreon, obviously I can just PM you through Patreon the Discord links. If you support me on here, you need to post your Discord ID, you know, in a comment, and then I can add you that way. Right, I'm going to hide that comment, but they're illegal in the UK, so no, I can't. What I actually need to do is just time you out, actually, not delete you, but there you go. But no, they're illegal, so no, I can't. Visa cards, if you do it through Patreon or whatever, yeah. Wife at work is so shit. Oh, I assume you mean Wi-Fi. I thought you meant life to start with, but you mean Wi-Fi. But no, in you, Peach. You always go on about your wife. If they get it working, I think it will still be ages Iron Man Smart until all that stuff is properly developed, rather than just being videos of it being tested in labs. I don't use a Cudgel Slingshot Warrior. Mike's the person to ask about those, because Weapon Collector has quite a few, doesn't he? Like Koshes and things like that, but I don't have anything like that. Go on eBay and type in gas mask plug plays. Plenty to see on there. 90 odd % of my gas masks are bought from eBay. It's very rare I get them from places other than eBay. Yeah, that's a training spear. It's probably a bit out of frame, but it doesn't have a point on it. It goes to a point and it has like a circular bit of steel. So it's like a training sparring spear where obviously you can poke people with it and it's safe. It will leave bruises, but it won't stab into anyone. I already just said what the swords were, like, a minute ago. So I'm not repeating it. Unless you mean the brands. One's the Windless Steelcraft one. The arming sword's made by Hanwei. The katana, is it So High or something like that it's called? That's interesting, Ajax. I suppose it does vary where you are, doesn't it, on the prices of things and stuff like that. Yeah, but you need a lot of force to do it, Captain Fries. That's why they're designed like that, so you can't do that. That's very interesting. How radioactive is it, Planes? Have you done videos of a Geiger counter demonstrating it? Yeah, it's a bit like when they get the rapiers and they have the buttons on the end, but that one can't come off, which is why I like it. because obviously it's designed so you know, no matter how hard you hit somebody with it, the actual metal bit isn't going to come off and expose a live blade. But yeah, I've seen like rapiers where they do that, but sometimes they just like push them on, don't they? And they sometimes come off during sparring, and somebody has to rush in and stop people before they stab them with a live blade. When you say movie, you mean TV series, and yes. Let me look up a frogmouth helmet. Yeah, it's a weird looking helmet, isn't it? But it'd probably give you quite good protection, I imagine. It does make me wonder with some medieval helmets, though, when you look at them, how well they could have seen out, because some make you think they wouldn't be able to see anything out of them at all. What sort of equipment would you need to test that, Slingshot Warrior? Because I've got Geiger counters and electromagnetic things. But, what sort of energy would that give off? And what sort of detector would you need for it? Another faulty meter, you're wasting our time. I suppose it's that time of day, isn't it, where it's a bit too early for some people for a stream. That's probably why there's not as many people on at the moment. Well, generally, yeah, when I do it in the evening, I get a lot more people on. But I don't mind, it's just obviously sometimes you struggle to keep up with the chat on these streams, and other times, you know, you're waiting for comments. Eating Costa, don't you drink Costa coffees technically, Peach, or have you got like a flapjack or something? Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, as Richard says, because there's 23 people watching and 16 likes, so generally if you can get the likes over the viewers, that's good. I'd love to know. What, 9:30 AM in New York? Yeah, it's 2:35 at the moment here in the UK. So yeah, I got up today, helped my friend walk the dogs, had some lunch with him, and then you know, came back and ended the stream pretty soon after. But at least it seems the incense in the air, despite the particles being really high, is clearing up my hay fever a bit. The only problem with having incense in this room, I find, is that I have to clean the computer fan like grates quite often, because the incense, you know, like powders up on there as the smoke dries on the you know, like fan intakes. You didn't see graphite. You didn't, because it's not there. The video I like showing people at the moment is where that idiot goes into the Chernobyl basement of the hospital. All the fireman's gear is making his Geiger counter go crazy. It's getting like 6 sieverts an hour in places. And he's actually just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to stick and hang around this stuff, even though he's getting like a fatal dose of radiation off of all that gear. Yeah, the one I found's quite good for hay fever, Peach, which I didn't know about before, but I've started using it because my mate Max has bad hay fever and he uses it. Let me search. I think it's called Benadryl Plus, or Benadryl Plus. Let me just Google it and tell you if that is the thing. Yeah, Benadryl Plus. So Benadryl Plus, what that's got in it. If I can find a thing that actually has it in stock. Yeah, it's acrivestine and pseudoephedrine, and that works really effectively. It's like one you take when your allergies kick in, and then it's meant to last several hours. I've been to London and seen them, yeah, but I haven't been to London in ages. NBC suits don't use filters. The NBC suit is designed to block stuff coming through, and then you breathe through the mask, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, with the Israeli masks, if it's one with 2 circular lenses, it's a 4A1. If it has 2 triangular lenses, it's the M15. That's the easy way of working it out if you don't know much about the masks. Yeah, because the doctors give me Lordatine, or whatever it's called, which is just a very basic antihistamine on repeat prescription. And that's one you're meant to take in the morning, and it's meant to work all day. But if you're in a day where there's really loads of dust or allergens around, it's not enough. And it's one of those tablets where taking more once your hay fever starts up doesn't really do anything. No, I don't want your number, Josh. Stop asking. I'll delete that comment because you really shouldn't be asking things like that on the stream. No theme kill strike, just chat and shit as always. I really don't know, Sensei, but generally with stuff like that, it's real because it's cheaper to make it's cheaper to sell surplus than it is for somebody to make reproductions. But yeah, so I've got some of those on order because I've got a bit of the weaker Benadryl ones, but yeah, the plus one, because it has 2 things in, is better, so it means I can take the Lordatine or whatever it is in the morning, and then if my hay fever acts up, I can take a tablet and, fairly quickly it's working. Yeah, the Greek Cobra is really cool, but sadly I don't have one. I don't think I've ever seen a Greek Cobra for sale on eBay or anywhere. Oh, are you saying you don't have a filter for the mask, or what, Josh? But any NATO filter will fit a Israeli mask. I'm sure Mike will do it, Slingshot Warrior, when he's got time. At the moment, he's been doing loads of crossbow quivers to get some money. Did you lower the control rods or not? I need water in my reactor core. The Atlov posting. What does the dosimeter say? 3.6 rock gun, but that's as high as it goes. 3.6, not great, not terrible. Captain Fries is delusional. Somebody take him to the infirmary. Look at what Pug plays. Yeah, there's no rush on Mike doing that for me, because like I've said, I'm not too fussed, and at the moment I've got quite a lot of expenditure coming out and stuff, because yeah, in about 2 or 3 weeks AMD's meant to be releasing the 7nm CPUs, so in about 3 weeks I'm buying a new PC, which means, a shitload of money coming out of my bank account, because I'm just building a really good computer from the ground up and not going to skimp on anything. So I'm probably going for a Ryzen 3 3900 CPU. With the GPU, I'll just look at what's a very good GPU at the time of building the PC. The motherboard will obviously have to be a new one to fit that CPU, or go for a good water cooler on it. Probably at least 16GB of DDR4 RAM, several hard drives, so it'll be an expensive build, but it'll at least be future-proof for years and years. The incense I've got in there at the moment smells quite nice. It's this one. out of that big multi-pack of incense I got. Yeah, it's like a nice sort of kind of like wooden leafy kind of smell to this one. Also came with a free sample of another kind of incense. What's this one? Golden Era. I'll stick that separately on the shelf a bit later. Yeah. Because at one point I spent like 20 quid and bought a massive box of different incenses. And I go through those very slowly, so... A pink veil? I have absolutely no idea, Sherry. Or do you mean like a vial? Like a little thing? If it's a vial, that's probably anti-fog paste or something like that. Yeah, GP5's fine, just don't use the filter pug. GP5 up there, look. And GP5's on the poster. You just have to wait till somebody's selling it on eBay, basically, that's outside of the US, because like all that stuff like that always finds itself out of the US, so then you just buy from somebody selling it not in the US, and then they can ship it to you no problem, because the laws are basically you can't export them from the US, but of course once they're out of the US has no jurisdiction on that. Hardware stores or eBay or Amazon, Killstrike. Because if you're buying RD40 filters, lots of hardware stores stock them because you get 40mm RD40 sort of, you know, work respirators. Oh yeah, because people can sell them on eBay, but that doesn't mean that they can legally sell them to outside the US. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, you have to buy them from people who are outside the US who have them. Like you said, buy them from Germany, if there's German sellers of M40s or whatever. But yeah, you can't, unless they sneak them through customs somehow, you can't get a US seller to sell you a US gas mask, because US customs doesn't let them export them. Because quite a lot of people seem to think that it's like, oh, the UK has an import ban on US masks, why is that? It's like, no, the UK doesn't, it's just the US can't export masks, it's a law they've had on military technology. Yeah, what Plane said. ITAR, whatever that stands for. But yeah, it's basically to stop US military technology apparently falling into the wrong hands, although everybody knows the designs by this point anyway, so it's pointless, but... If it's a GOST one, Pug plays, yes. Or a Polish normalised thread one, but if it's a NATO one, no. Yeah, 40mm doesn't mean anything. You have to specify if it's 40mm NATO or 40mm GOST. Yeah, the thing is I find funny is people were backwards engineering US masks anyway during the Cold War when that was in full swing, so it wasn't like that law ever worked as intended. I think I've got Dragon's Blood incense. Let me have a look, because I've got some on here that I've not opened yet. Yeah, there you go. Because this was from another multi-pack of incense I bought. But yeah, it's quite funny how my hay fever calms down quite a lot when I've lit incense, despite the fact that, you know, according to the particle meters and everything like that, the room air quality is a lot worse than normal, but for some reason it's easier to breathe, I find, with stuff like this in the air. It's not really Dragon's Blood, Ajax. I think it's some sort of plant or something that's called Dragon's Blood, isn't it? I did see on Amazon you can buy stuff called unicorn meat from one seller, which is like stupidly overpriced crap, but apparently people buy it and leave good reviews, so I wonder what's really in it. There's a couple of weird things on Amazon like that, where you can find stuff that costs loads of money and it's a blatantly, like, a shit product. Like, there was one I saw called Nothing, and it's like an empty box that you can buy on Amazon. Yeah, hopefully I'll go next year, Planes. But I think, I was saying to people, I think they've locked up the basement, haven't they, to Pripyat hospital now, because of all the idiots going down there and irradiating themselves. Because obviously where you get taken around on tour guides is relatively safe. I mean, background radiation is still obviously higher than outside of the exclusion zone. But, you know, it's relatively safe in terms of a day's exposure to radiation sort of thing. Whereas, you know, some places like the Pripyat basement hospital, the hospital's basement, you know, are a fatal dose of radiation if you're down there for like an hour. The worst thing I find with hay fever, Lewis, is when like my throat starts getting really sore and dry, and it keeps making you want to kind of go with your throat. Like the sneezing and the coughing I can put up with to a bit, and the itchy eyes, but for me it's as soon as my throat starts getting dry and painful, that's when it really annoys me. If you've ever had acid reflux kind of stuff, it's very similar to that, where it feels a bit like the stomach acid's burned your throat. It's obviously not with hay fever, but it's that kind of thing where your throat's... Or if you've ever just had a cold and you've got a sore, dry throat from having a cold, it's a very similar feeling. Let's have a look at how many particles are in the air now. The incense has been going for quite a while. It'll probably be a really high number. Just check that's in frame. Yeah, I'll hold it a bit closer. How high will it go? Still going up. How did that work then, injecting bacteria into people? Which one do you mean by the single-handed sword? Do you mean the arming sword? That's a handway one. Yeah, if you want to ask a question, just ask it. Don't say, can I ask a question? Yeah, exactly, Ajax. I completely agree with that. Like I said, I wanted to go to Chernobyl for quite a while, because obviously I've seen the HBO show and everything, but we were planning on going a few years ago, and then all the civil unrest, sort of civil war stuff happened in Ukraine, and then we had to cancel that holiday and go somewhere else. I think that was the year we went to Hungary instead. But yeah, sort of now it's getting easier to go again. I definitely want to go. But yeah, you get some really stupid people, don't you, taking like topless pictures and all that sort of stuff now over there for some stupid reason for Instagram. Right, it's at 850 now. Is it going to go higher, or is that sort of where it's finalised? 854, 855. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to go any higher than 850 odd. Yeah, interesting. Right, hello everybody that's just joining. As I've said that specific gentleman quite a few times before, there's no point for me. So anybody got anything interesting planned today? I've not really. I'm just having a sort of lazy day today. But a talker helmet or a tanker helmet, Ajax? So I don't know what a talker helmet is, if you mean a talker helmet. When you say Sellafield, do you mean like wind scale planes? Right, see a kill strike if you're going to go have a lay down and sleep. So what's a talker helmet? Explain it. I've never heard of that before, Ajax. Yeah, wind scale fire is interesting if you read into that, but the wind scale fire was actually a good thing in the sense it shut wind scale down. Because prior to that, radiation had been leaking for ages and they were just covering it up, even though obviously it was making people really ill and die. Yeah, you can get corn on the cob in the UK, or sweet corn, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, 3 Mile Island's interesting, isn't it? But at least they had the sarcophagus already built over 3 Mile Island. Because the thing with Chernobyl was because they didn't have a containment building. When it obviously blew up, that's why all the radiation started escaping everywhere. Whereas with things like 3 Mile Island, because at least they had the containment building already built, it meant lots of the damage was minimised by the radiation kind of being stuck inside the containment building. Any idea why that is, my name, Dan? Is it that you don't see the notifications until then? Or is it just that it's just purely coincidental? That's interesting, Ajax. Let me Google it so I can see what you're on about. Oh, cool, yeah. I kind of recognise the thing now I'm looking at the pictures of them. But I wouldn't have known they were ever called that. They remind me a bit of the things the Death Star people have on in Star Wars. You know, like the ones that are in the firing bit. That's probably what they based those helmets on, wasn't it, in Star Wars, those helmets? But yeah, they're cool looking things. Certainly cover a lot of your head, wouldn't it, from stuff? Yeah, that's the thing, Mike. Because I work Saturdays and Sundays, although I'm only in Saturday this week, I always like to have a lazy Friday where I don't do much because I want to be as de-stressed as possible before work the next day. You know, I don't want to do stuff that makes me agitated on a day off and then, you know, have to go into work the next day. I don't know. This isn't a political stream, that specific gentleman, and I don't know, and a lot of it's knee-jerk laws where they make a law to make it look like they're doing something about violent crime and they're really not. But as I said, this isn't a political stream, so I don't want to get into politics discussion. Oh, cool. What type of CBRN suits are you getting then, Sophistry, and are they good or are they bad, or do you not know much on them? Alright, cool. Good luck with that, Slingshot Warrior. That's annoying, Rich, but yeah, hopefully they heal up alright. Well, for work, I just do a kitchen porter job at the weekends at a nearby garden centre, because it means I don't have to commute very far to work, so there's like no travel time for me at least. Don't really care about branded clothing, Avon. Oh, that's interesting. I've seen the ones that were, what do you call them? Like the ones that look like light anti-gas respirators, but they had like the airline hoses on. British lightweight respirator, let me Google image that. Most of the ones coming up are just, what's it? Either light anti-gas respirators or, completely like, you know, like 3M style masks. That's cool. So I guess the filter isn't very lightweight, is it? I'm pretty sure I might have that on CD-ROM or DVD-ROM somewhere, Ajax, but I've not played it in yonks. Cool, let me Google Kestrel CBRN suit. Has it got a particular camo pattern on it? Or are they getting it in Ozcam, or are they just getting it in, oh, there's one on Google Images coming up in Ozcam. Or are they just getting it in, like, sort of, you know, like a multicam thing or what? There's pictures of people using them with the Scott GSR, so that's not a very good mask to use it with. Oh, cheers, Lewis. Cheers, thank you. Well, it'll go towards something. I bought the shelves recently, so the shelves will go up and I can put them up. But cheers, thank you. I have like everyday carries in terms of like medication and stuff like that. That reminds me, I need to change the ink cartridge in my pen, because when I was using that yesterday it was barely writing, so that needs a new ink cartridge in it. But other than like very basic EDC stuff, I don't have any like bug out bags or anything like that. That'll be interesting sophistry. But yeah, I'm assuming it will be some sort of either multi-cam type camo, won't it, or Ozcam. That's cool, Mr. Rise, or Mr. Rays, however your name's pronounced. Yeah, I'll check Discord a bit later. What do you mean, like rifles or helmets or what? Well, gas masks probably out of all the stuff. Official, if that's what you mean, because that's a type of war equipment, isn't it? Respirators and gas masks. Alright, see you, Slingshot. I don't know if I actually manage a full hour on today's stream, because there's a couple of other minor things I need to do, but I'll still go on for a bit longer. I suppose we were at 42 minutes, aren't we? So an hour would only be like 20 minutes away anyway, but yeah. If you're saying where is he might be asleep, because he's in Australia, or maybe he's working, I don't know. That's alright, Adam. Alright, see you, Sherry. But yeah, it's like, not everybody can make every stream. Sometimes people don't get notifications about streams. Sometimes they can't make certain ones. It doesn't really matter, does it? Right, I'm going to check the weather near me, actually, on my phone quickly, because I want to see what that's going to be like over the next few days. Just because they said there might be really heavy rain soon. I've put my phone in aeroplane mode, haven't I, while I was streaming, so I need to take it off aeroplane mode. Right, let's have a look. Current location. If it actually loads up. Well, again, decently priced and really good don't generally go together with NBC suits, but you can buy a lot of the old communist suits for like $30 or pounds, and they're fairly decent. They're like thick rubberized suits. It looks more like, I can't see his picture fully. Oh, okay, it is an S10. So it looked a bit like the Scott M95 from the picture, but like I said, I'm only looking at a really small picture of it. Because the bit in the middle of it looks almost like that big valve the Scott M95's got. Is it the drinking tube thing? Well, lead will protect you from radiation, but lead's not very good at stopping bullets. For obvious reasons. That is quite soft. It's very dense, but soft. As a metal, anyway. Right, let's have a look. The weather for Saturday. Ah, good, it's meant to be sunny or cloudy all day, which is ideal, because it means work won't be as busy. But Sunday, they're thinking there could be rain. Yellow warning of thunderstorms. But they think we're right on the edge of it, so hopefully we might miss that. Yeah, like, lead is good as radiation armour, but that's it. You wouldn't want lead as military armour. Yeah, the S6 is very cool looking. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know sophistry or the politics surrounding, like certain armours and, like camo patterns and all that, because I know obviously, unlike, bits of the Cold War where nations kind of had all the sort of ability to sort of nationalise a lot of that stuff, now it's sort of more like a free market thing. Obviously, I guess people can copyright certain camos, can't they, a bit more. No, weirdly enough, I've never watched Joe Rogan, even though loads of people like his stuff. And that's like not me saying I don't like his stuff, I just have never watched it, so I have to do that at some point. Tell you what I might do later, Mike. I might watch another episode of Black Mirror, because that's on my mind to do it now. Because as I said, what normally happens is I never think to watch Black Mirror when I've got some spare time to do it. So yeah, when the stream ends, first I need to reply to YouTube comments, and then I might get a bit of time to watch Black Mirror or something. I've only watched a couple of episodes, but I've liked the ones I've watched. So no spoilers or anything for anybody that's not watched it. But it's one of those things where I keep meaning to watch it and I just keep forgetting to watch it. Because I never watched it when it came out originally. Yeah, Strict Arms are really cool old camo. No, what's that then, the name, Dan? The name sounds very vaguely familiar, but I have no idea what it is. Yeah, I still don't know sophistry what the new gas masks Britain are getting is. I'm going to assume it's the M50, because I know they've paid Avon for it, so it's going to be an Avon mask. But obviously they went with the Scott GSR compared to the M50 because they could get the GSRs way cheaper, even though they failed at a lot of the jobs the M50 managed to do. Then when they've had all these problems recently, they've now paid Avon a load of money and they're getting a mask from Avon, but they've not actually specified yet what the mask will be, so I imagine it will just be M50s, but you never know, it could be FM53s or FM12s. I don't have Netflix. Is what irradiated? The thing I like about the FM12, to be honest, is it's just a simple, well-made mask. The problem is, like, when I look at stuff like the FM53, as much as I don't have an FM53, so I can't comment, as good as something like the FM53 is meant to be, it's very bulky looking to me, so I imagine it would be uncomfortable, although it's meant to be very comfortable, in terms of the rubbers and all the straps and everything. Whenever I look at those masks where they've tried to shove loads of features onto them, I think they're going to be a bit cumbersome and bulky because they've put so much on them. Do you mean the C50, Adam? Or what? There's the FM53, which is 40mm, and there's also the C50, which is literally the M50, but 40mm. Because the CT12 is much rarer, Avon. Because the CT12 is an FM12 without the drinking tubes, because it's designed to be a lighter weight one for counter-terrorist use, whereas the FM12 is the mass-produced model. So that's why it's harder to find CT12s, although I ended up getting my CT12 before an FM12, just because the CT12 is a lot rarer. I think a lot of masks Ajax look a bit insectoid kind of looking, just because of the eyepieces and the shapes of them. What was the special purpose? What was the name of the civilian S10 that they made for a very brief period? Was that the N10 or was that a different one? Strange, because they actually manufacture masks in the US now, mechanised and weaponised. The CT12 came out in the mid-2000s, I think, the same as the early mid-2000s, same as the FM12 did. When I see some more interesting designs, Leo, that I've not seen in a while, but whenever I've looked at all recently, they've only seemed like very slight variations on some of the lighters I've got. So if I spot one that looks really different, or like has an interesting design, I'll certainly end up buying some more. like I said, when I've looked at the moment, it just seems to be, you know, like clones or variations of other lighters where the button's just in a slightly different place or whatever. 60's at the like highest end you'd want to pay Avon. Personally, I wouldn't pay more than £50 for an S10, but it depends like what conditions in it and does it come with all the accessories. But the thing is, if S10s are going for more money than an FM12 is, never buy an S10 for more money than an FM12, because the FM12 is a better mask. Yeah, that's sort of funny, Adam. Which mask's the M64? I'll have to Google it, because my mind's pulled a blank and I can't think which mask you're on about. Oh, the Chinese one. Like, the one that used to hang up there and it's not there anymore. Yeah, Type 64 or M64. Yeah. Yeah, I think they make some FM12s in the States, but they don't make S10s in the States because the S10 is a discontinued mask now. But I know certain police forces in America use the FM12, so I imagine they buy them from the US-produced Avon lot, but... No, Celtic Productions, lots of people have speculated, but I've never heard a, like, you know, thing that you can't find flaws with the reasoning for it. I've heard all things like it could indicate rank, it could indicate domestic or export model, you know, it could specify one's civilian, one's military, but none of those ever check out because you can always find pictures of them just being used wherever. I think it was probably a case of they had multiple rubbers they could make them out of, so they just used whatever rubbers they had available. Yeah, how much did that end up going for in the end, Sophistry? Was it several hundred Aussie dollars? In total, absolutely loads, but I don't have no idea how much in absolutely total, because I have over 100 masks now for definite, and if you imagine each mask costs somewhere between like £10 and £30, or maybe even more for some of my masks, you can put that through a calculator, so you could do 100 times 10, and then obviously that would be 1,000, but then if it was, you know, like £30 average mask, then that would be 3,000, some of my masks cost even more, so a couple of thousand I'd imagine, but I have no way of really knowing. That's cool, Shackleton. What did you say? How can an RBMK reactor explode? No, I've not had any masks that I regret buying because I buy them to collect them. I mean, obviously there'd be masks if I was buying them for personal use, like protective use. There'd be some masks that'd be very disappointing. But I don't regret buying any masks in terms of like, oh, I wish I hadn't spent money on the mask. Personally, I would go for driving lessons, Celtic Production, because it will do you more good in the long run than collecting masks will. So that's about $100 total, is it? $100 for an F2A4 is an awful price, because they tend to be like £60 to £70 here a lot of the time, which isn't too far off $100, but yeah, it's not cheap, is it? I've already done videos like that, Leo. I've done lots of videos on body armour before and things like that, and improvised stab panels. Well, with the Chinese M64, Adam, they did a couple of hype was saying there was a couple of different like voice diaphragm exhale valves on them. So I think he said they're just like known as a Type A and a Type B. So in theory, you could be either on about a Type A or a Type B. If you mean that exact mask, but it's similar to the Soviet MM1. I think it's probably like copied from the Soviet MM1, which is a bit less bulky. Alright, see you planes if you're off. Well, some random people shouldn't be walking into my house, Killstroke Gaming, I'll say that now. Yeah, Kevlar's allowed in the UK. The good thing is personal defensive stuff like body armour and things in the UK are not restricted at all. Which is one of the good things here, as much as they make lots of silly laws on knives and things like that. Actual stuff like Kevlar is not restricted whatsoever. Yeah, exactly. Generally, mechanised, yeah. Masks that are more easily available are the ones that will go for better prices. You know, or more affordable prices. If the rarer the mask is, because, yeah, like you said, due to supply and demand, they generally cost more. Sadly, though, Ajax, some places do restrict them. Like in certain areas in Australia, like Kevlar vests are considered a prohibited item for some really stupid reason. Because they'll use the excuse, oh, criminals could wear them, and then it makes it harder for the police to catch the criminals. So, I don't have any tattoos, but I have no problem with them, Avon. So what, that's like £50, isn't it? Yeah, it shouldn't cost that. Kevlar is allowed for personal ownership in the US. You're lying there. There's no law in America saying Americans aren't allowed to own Kevlar. I don't know if any states have stupid laws for certain cities, but in the US in general, people are allowed to own Kevlar, considering they're allowed to own firearms. Alright, Bartos? There's a gas mask behind me helmet, but there's not a bug. Yeah, so most people charge £20 shipping. This guy's trying to charge £50 shipping. The M64 I think I got for like about £10 when they were just on eBay with some generic, you know, buzzword username like gas mask protection, gas, chemical, tear gas. They gave it some name like that. It didn't specify what the mask was. But they turned up quite cheap at one point, just loads and loads of them on eBay. Oh, if it was going to be anywhere, I suppose it would be California, wouldn't it, that would restrict items for self-defense. Well, it's a Chinese mask, isn't it? So yeah, that's what I was getting at. You can, weirdly, Ajax, though, own tanks in the UK. I imagine that you, unless you have some sort of firearms license, you have to have the gun disabled on them. But you can privately own tanks, and you can take them on the road as long as you've got like rubber treads for them, so they don't damage the road surfaces. What, do you get one for like £5 then, Adam? That's a good price, isn't it? £5 for any mask is a good price, but yeah. Mine was only just like the low end of £10 to £15 or something. It wasn't much at all. You can with legal excuse though, Leah. As in, I am using it for something. But there's lots of stupid laws though in this country where they contradict each other. Like how you can have an air gun that is an exact 1-1 replica of a real firearm that can shoot pellets that could potentially, you know, kill somebody. I know air guns aren't all that powerful, but you know what I mean, it potentially could because it's shooting like a lead pellet or whatever. And they're not restricted, but an airsoft gun has to be bright colours unless you have a UCARA licence. There's lots of stupid laws like that here where they've just done knee-jerk laws. Yeah, like Shackleton's just told you, small box respirator. And I think there was the corrected box respirator, wasn't there, later on, which is slightly different. Hang on. Mark 1 respirator, is it? But yeah, there you go, it's these masks. SBR, yeah, small box respirator. In an air rifle, I prefer spring to gas rams, just because, although in theory gas ram has a lot of advantages, there's a lot more that can go wrong with them, whereas springs are like so standard that you can easily get spares and repairs for spring air rifles. Yeah, it is strange sophistry, isn't it? You think if they'd surplus one thing, they'd surplus most things. But again, it depends. If you want an air pistol, actual like CO2 gas is the best thing, because obviously it means that you can get realistic blowback in a small pistol. But in terms of like just an air rifle for plinking or whatever, then spring, definitely. That's cool, but did you need a helicopter license to buy those, or could you just buy them and then not fly them if you stuck them in your garden? Yeah, have you ever seen, Shackleton, those pictures from US firearm magazines? Where it's like, send off $5 and we'll send you a 1911 and like a crate of ammo for it. I mean, I know $5 back then is a lot more than $5 is today, but it's still crazy, isn't it? Like, how cheap they sold some of the surplus for once the war ended. Anyway, I'll be finishing the stream anytime now because I've gone over an hour. As I said, I would do an hour. I need to put the shelves up at some point that are behind me. Probably won't do that right now, but I'll do that. I need to reply to YouTube comments and maybe watch an episode of Black Mirror. Replace the ink cartridge in my pen. So thanks for the stream, everybody. Thank you for the donation, Lewis. Have you got Discord, Lewis? Because as you've given me a donation, you're welcome on the Discord server. If you've got Discord, you have to let me know your Discord ID. No, my air guns chainsaw look like real guns. Well, it depends on the model, because some won't look like a real gun because they're not based on real guns, but air guns in the UK don't have to be two colours. It's airsoft guns that do, without UCARA. Oh, that's cool. Mechanized. I'll have a look at that a bit later. But although I won't be able to afford any soon, because obviously I'm getting a new PC next month, but if I get on with that other air pistol, I might look into more different types of air pistols. But I do like SIGs anyway. Right, yeah, so thanks everybody, it's been a good stream, see ya, and I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream tonight at 9 PM, so see you then, bye.